Welcome to Web3 Buzz, where we talk products, communities, and careers in Web3. Every week, we bring awesome people from the Web3 world and talk about what they're building and how they're disrupting products and communities with innovation and inclusivity. Hi, Jay. Welcome to Web3 Buzz, and thanks for coming onto the show today.
Thanks, Laura. Thank you for having me.
Jay, can you introduce yourself for the audience and share your background, maybe your previous professional experience, journey into crypto, and what you're doing now?
Sure. My name is Jay Chrawnna, and I'm a crypto YouTuber. I share the news about the .sama space. In my former life, I was, I guess you could say, an artistic director. I'd work with groups of, anywhere from 2 to sometimes 35 artists, all of different disciplines. And we'd put on live shows, performances, events, that sort of thing.
How much time are you into crypto?
I got into crypto just after the COVID-19 lockdowns began. I was, a few years prior, I had, come up with a dream of what I'd like to do with my life. One I'm pretty crazy about, and one I want to bring to fruition. Part of that dream ended up involving quite a bit of capital. So once COVID hit and I had a bit more time on my hands, I dove into some university courses on finance, which was a huge weak spot in my life. I knew I was thinking about money in a way that was hurting me and in a way that was going to hurt my dream. And so I did a couple of these university courses and was feeling like a totally different man. But my YouTube algorithm had changed based on the research I was doing. And I fell into one of those awful price prediction hype crypto channels. And that eventually led me to Bitcoin, read the Bitcoin Standard, and I was totally blown away. And I bought my first Bitcoin, I think, on May 11th, 2020. And from then until I started the YouTube channel this past June, I've probably been just researching crypto, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 hours a day. And I'm totally obsessed with it. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Are you into .sama ecosystem only, or have you explored any other ecosystems as well? What was your journey like?
I started with the Bitcoin there and playing in Ethereum a bit. Then that fall, that's when we hit DeFi summer, which totally melted my brain. And, I got involved in all sorts of strange scams and exciting wins and terrible losses. But it was around that time that I started hearing about .sama. And after DeFi summer, I thought, I really wanted to find the next big thing, not the next Ethereum adjacent, but the next leap forward in this technology. And by the time I got to January, I was looking pretty hard, looking around. I was pretty convinced that it was .sama. And so I consolidated all my crypto behind .sama. And I think a few months later, I started my Twitter account and I started creating threads, actually, about projects that I found extremely fascinating. Which projects did you start investing in or looking into in the initial phases of your journey? In the initial phases, I just stuck with Polkadot and Kusama. And I've been branching out into projects as they came up for Polkadot auctions. Are you full-time into crypto now? Yes, I am. Awesome. There's so much happening in crypto, right? There are amazing opportunities everywhere, and it's a great time to be here, just like when the internet started. And one of the biggest questions, I think, on everyone's mind in crypto is, how do you transition into crypto full time, especially if you're not employed by a company which gives a stable income, but rather you want to do something entrepreneurial like you're doing, or something creative, right? Like your own content creation. So what made you take that leap? And, when did you feel comfortable enough to make that decision? And what advice would you give to others looking to do the same? Sure. Well, that's a great question. First, what you want to do is you want to start giving to others, and the best way to do that in this space is to share information. Right? There's a huge amount of information that nobody has time to keep track of. So you'll find Telegram groups and Discord groups that where you can make friends with people just by sharing information and sharing your opinion about what you're seeing. Yeah, that's sorry, what was the rest of the question there?
How do you kind of transition into crypto full time? Because
right.
yeah, especially if you're doing something on your own, like content creation, because that doesn't have a stable income, like you're not paid by a company or something. So what are the factors going into that decision, and how do you start with it?
Well, it wasn't really a decision, right? It just started as something small. I was starting with those threads. So I was getting some traction there, but I was starting from 0 followers. So only a few people were seeing them. And then the reason why I started the YouTube channel is because it was such a struggle to use Polkadot.js and to set up the wallets in a safe way. And I didn't find a lot of YouTube videos that were really helping me out. So I just thought, well, I can make a few of these and they're going to save people a lot of time. And there's no dream or idea of becoming full-time crypto because of these. After making those for a few weeks, I was picked up by a validator named Polkachu, and he submitted my work to the council, to the tip board, which I just made a tutorial video about actually on my series Polkadot Kusama with the FAQ. And this is a great feature of Polkadot and Kusama that allow people to take a little risk, to spend a little time contributing to the ecosystem. And if it's great, if it's awesome, if it's useful, they can be paid in network tokens. And that's kind of how it started with me. I just did 2 or 3 videos a week until I think it was in August. For some reason, I got this massive tip, and I just thought, well, I think I could take a couple weeks off my other work here and just really commit to the YouTube channel. And that's what I did. And well, it's been working out pretty well so far. It's definitely not a steady job, but the idea, I think, is to just not worry about that. Just keep creating and keep providing value to the ecosystem. And there's so much capital flying around here. If you just make yourself useful, I think capital will find you eventually.
Really love that. Talking about monetization and compensation that Dotsama provides, you explained, like you said, right? You explained about the tipping in your recent video. Can you talk a little bit about that, and also talk about if there are any other ways of earning income through content creation?
Yeah, well, there are, of course, every parachain is looking for content creators, for media creators. A lot of ambassador programs are going to pay out for creating content or memes or sharing the content that they create. Basically, if you have a parachain, if you have a project you love, just look into it, and I'm sure they have some sort of tap that you can get into. The other thing, I don't know if you want to get into this yet, but I've began an experiment called Wagmedia, which is aiming to get more people involved in creating content and sharing information. And it's supposed to make it a little bit easier to take a risk and start making content. It's kind of like a step between doing nothing and getting tipped by the council.
I was wondering, there's so much of information coming from various different channels in crypto, which can get newcomers in the space overwhelmed. What are your suggestions for these people? Where do they start, and how do they filter the right information?
The place to start is Twitter. The place to start is Twitter for sure. Everything that's worth knowing is on Twitter, and you want to commit some time every day to studying the feed, especially making a list of projects that you're really interested in following. And that's the other thing. At the beginning, you just follow your nose, right? At the beginning, you don't have a language, right? When I'm typing up a script for a video, it's like those red wiggly lines under pretty much everything I'm typing, because we're making up a language here. to describe something brand new. So in the beginning, you really just need to let it wash over you. I say, stay away from anybody who's making promises. Don't get tempted by dreams of getting rich quick, and pay attention to the people who are trying to lift up the others around them in a sustainable way.
Nowadays in crypto, you see a lot of content creators creating, this kind of pump and dump kind of videos, 100x moonshot, these kind of things.
Yeah.
So how do users kind of stay wary of it and like not fall into that trap?
Yeah, well, that's really toxic content, right? And anybody can start a YouTube channel or an information stream doing that, and they can make off like a bandit in a pretty short time. But what that's really doing is that's in some ways destroying people's lives. But that's also turning people off of crypto altogether. And I know right now, I don't know if it's 1%, I don't know if it's 5% of the world population is on crypto, probably closer to 1. So there's an infinite amount of fools to pull the wool over. But eventually, it's just going to slow down the development, the adoption of crypto, and it's going to hurt us in any long-term time frame. So that stuff's really important. How to avoid it? Well, you just need to pay attention to your heart. And if you're getting excited and thinking, oh, well, I should be good by next quarter, you probably need to check yourself. I mean, crypto is growing fast, but you got to keep it real with yourself and set appropriate expectations.
Education is such an extremely important piece to onboard billions of users to any ecosystem, including Sama, which is also a new ecosystem. And you've been playing a very important role by educating users with different kinds of contents, right? Like you have, Sir, have you heard, and what the FAQ. In your experience, what are the biggest friction points in Sama for onboarding of users? And how do we solve this to enable the next leg of growth for the ecosystem?
That's a really great question. And I've actually been struggling with it. I mean, I feel like my content, it helps people who are already interested enough to commit themselves to learning a bit more. Alex from Polka House, he's been talking a lot about how do we get people from outside the ecosystem bridged in. And I've only been thinking about this for a few days, and unfortunately, I don't have any great answers yet. As far as people who are already interested, I think it's about talking a lot. It's about using language confidently that they haven't heard before. And it's about weaving a whole bunch of different narratives, all going into different directions, weaving it into some palatable story that they can consume within a few minutes. I mean, there's lots, when I started only 6 months ago, there's lots of technical deep dives into all these different facets of Sama. But what I'm seeing more now is more of the story, more of the narrative, more of the human language that everybody has access to. And that's also the quickest way to learn new information, to understand something you didn't get before.
You are a typical user and a great example to illustrate this point, where you're coming from a very creative kind of background into an extremely technical space with not a very good UX. It's not a very mature UX and user experience that is presently there in the ecosystem. So
Not yet.
Yeah. So what are some of the troubles that you faced, and what do you advise users to go around it? Because you have come a long way, and you're also teaching others of how to use the ecosystem.
Well, with anything that requires a bit of work, it's most important to understand why you're doing it. The reason why I got into crypto and found Sama and wanted to understand it so much, those reasons were very clear to me. And if you don't know why you're here, I think you're going to have a difficult time, because you're not going to want to put the work in. So I think establishing why you're here and what you're trying to achieve would be most important. Besides that, if you know why you want to be here, I would say watch the FAQ series from the beginning. We now have 20 videos. should get you from zero to polkadot.js hero within a couple hours. And I still go back and reference those videos sometimes as well when I have to do something a bit exotic.
Yeah, those are we call this as evergreen content, which is relevant all the time. So I think
Right.
some of your content definitely falls in that category. Yeah.
Yeah, for now, Talisman is going to totally put that series out of business, I hope.
Yeah, I think they're building an amazing project with the
It's
wallet.
looking incredible. Yeah.
Great UX. You're creating this decentralized media empire called as Wagmedia. Can you talk about that? What is it? Who is it for? And what are you trying to achieve with that?
Sure. So I'm just one YouTube channel. I'm just one guy with a cat, and I only have so many hours in the day. There are thousands of users who I can't reach, thousands of users who aren't interested in my style of video, thousands of users who don't speak the language I speak. Wagmedia is an experiment where we are incentivizing first the sharing of information. So if you join the Wagmedia Discord, which is about to become open to the public, you will get a small reward for sharing information, either from Twitter, or if you get a bit deeper into project Discords, if you can provide screenshots from there, or even deeper than that, live public meetups, as well as sharing your favorite content creators and sharing events that are happening in the space. So there's incentivization for sharing information. Then the next level after that is incentive for turning that information, processing it into content. And that can be threads like the great work that you've been doing. It can be videos, infographics, anything like that. That's what we're trying to do here. And so we have a pool of people who are providing content, a pool of people who are providing information, a pool of people who are turning it into content, and then the opportunity for any treasury, any project, or anybody with big bags who wants to help spread the message of .sama, they can come and inject capital, inject funding, inject incentive into Wagmedia, and help it run all the better. And then it's up to those treasuries to monetize that content that comes out the other end if they want, or not. But that's the experiment. We just it's been in the works for a couple of months. I've just had it up as a sort of test net with some friends for the last couple of weeks, working out some kinks. And we are going to go live with. I've been incentivizing it with my centralized shitcoin called Chrawnna coin, and we're going to be going live with real economic incentive very soon, probably just before the new year, or just into 2022. So we'll see how it goes. No promises, but we'll see how it goes.
Are you planning to create a DAO kind of structure with the proper treasury of its own sometime in the future? Do you plan something like that in your roadmap?
A Wagmedia treasury, I'm not too sure about that. There's a role in Wagmedia called directors, and directors are anybody who is providing incentives. So they get to set bounties. I want to hear about this sort of information, and I want this sort of content from it. And that's supposed to not be a fixed thing, but a sort of a revolving door, a place. It's a place where treasuries can come in and out to get what they need. Maybe there'll be some long-term directors that want to create a long-term treasury. I'm not sure about that. I just want to create the place where it happens for now.
Got it. So currently it's like this marketplace where there are content seekers and content creators or finders, and you're trying to kind of match both of them together on a common place.
Yeah. And then on the other level, if you're not interested in any of that, but you just want a content stream of new information, it's a great place to just lurk as well.
You also have another incentive apart from the Chrawnna token that you talked about, which is Wagmedia collection of NFTs, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, can you throw some light on that? What is it? And,
Uh, I don't know. I don't know. It's a pretty top secret. These Kusamarians, I call them, they're a character in my What the FAQ series, along with the Daughters of Yayoi. And they're mannequins. I use them to explain the various concepts. There's only 25, and the top contributors in Wagmedia, the people who receive the top or the highest amount of incentive each week for the next 20 weeks now, will receive one of these. I mean, they look pretty shitty, so you have to wonder why anybody would want them. But I do think maybe some other NFT artists in the space may be able to spruce it up a little down the road.
so what is your roadmap and timeline with this? Right now, I believe you're in your testnet phase, and
Yeah.
you will go on till Q1 of 2022 with that. And what then?
After 2022?
Yeah.
Well, I would like to eventually, I'd like to have a team of content creators that I can create content with. Right now, I just brought on an editor. I hope everybody's really loving the upgrade to the visuals that we've had in the Sir Have You Heard video series. It's going just fabulous with him. I'd like to grow a bigger team and take a little bit of a step back. I'd like to have a lot more voices besides mine on the show, and a lot more writers besides my writing on the show as well. Like I was telling you at the beginning of our conversation, I had more of an artistic direction role in my pre-crypto career. So after laying the groundwork, I'd definitely be interested in moving myself into more of a role like that.
Do you have any plans of opening up Wagmedia to any other ecosystems down the line, like Ethereum, Avalanche, or any other ecosystem apart from Dotsama, or you want to be dedicated to this ecosystem only?
No, it's very possible. The thing about this ecosystem is that, at least my convictions say that it's going to consume every other ecosystem, right? Every other ecosystem is going to be able to nest in it, connect to it. So as other ecosystems become relevant, we're going to cover those things too. I mean, on my channel, we have already been covering a little bit of the Ethereum ecosystem just because of the incredible work that Composable and Picasso have been doing. They're kind of leveraging Polkadot, or they're kind of leveraging Dotsama security to fix a lot of the problems that are happening in Ethereum and all of the adjacent layer ones and layer twos. So I know that they're planning to connect with Cosmos. I know Star is planning to connect with Cosmos. So as they come in, as they become relevant, I definitely want to include all the relevant news about them as everything gets tied together. Yeah. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, there's also the question that Alex from Polka House has put in my mind is, how do we get people from those ecosystems understanding what we're doing at Dotsama? Maybe that involves reaching into those ecosystems a bit more and reporting on them. I'm not sure, but hopefully we can find the answer in Wagmedia.
What are the top 5 tips you have to becoming a successful content creator in this space?
Top 5 tips. Okay, sure. The number one tip, and this was given to me by my buddy's girlfriend. She's a content creator in the real world, and her biggest tip was to just be yourself, right? She thought her advice was to be your weird, unique self. Be something that people can grab onto. It might be tempting to try to become, some sort of official news outlet of Polkadot, but in this space, we're looking for people we can trust, and we can trust people who seem real. It's a lot easier to trust those types of people. So that's the first thing. I would say, just be yourself, show people who you are, and do not hold back. Second thing is make it about providing value for other people. You don't be trying to get attention or anything, because you can shout from the rooftops and nobody's going to hear you on the internet. But if you're useful, people are going to take notice. So really focus on providing value to other people. 3, collaborate. If you find somebody who's doing what you're doing, reach out and collaborate. That's what happened with Alice and Bob and I. We found each other when our YouTube channels each had like 5 videos. We were obviously trying to solve the same problem for different audiences, and we collaborated right away. And that relationship has not stopped giving since that started. 4, don't be afraid to ask dumb questions. Reach out and find the truth. And 5, well, it's a marathon, right? It's a journey, and expectations of short-term glory or success are just going to really screw you up. So, be in it for the long haul. Give yourself a break, especially at the beginning when you need it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, and have a lot of fun. There's like 8 or 9.
Thanks for that. I think really, really great tips. I'm sure the audience will find this really insightful.
If that resonated with anybody, make sure you stop by Wagmedia, because we definitely need you.
Breaking out from the serious stuff, apart from creating awesome content, what do you do in your free time? And how are you celebrating this festive season?
I'm seeing some friends and family, but we're pretty locked down here again. The feeling is not very festive. But hold on, I have to let my cat out. So we were dealing with this before the recording, but one of the greatest struggles to being a content creator, at least in this house, is having a cat who wants to be in the studio and then he wants to be out. So what am I doing in my free time? I actually don't have a lot of free time right now. I'm pretty committed to, first of all, ramping the channel up to 5 regular weekday videos, and then an extra video. I've been trying to do an extra video on the weekend, as well as building Wagmedia and collaborating with a new editor. So right now, I actually don't have a lot of free time. For some reason, I really love what I'm doing, so it's working. Yeah, I do get to see friends every Friday night, so that's something.
So that will, I guess, give a lot of inspiration for all the content creators out there. Before leaving, tell me your top 3 projects that you're most excited about in the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem.
Just 3. Okay, well, man. Okay, Composable. I just, what they're putting out is incredible. The pace of development is amazing. 0x Brain Jar. He's just committed. He's in 24/7, and you can tell. And that's a man on a mission. Likewise, Remark, Bruno and the team, their creativity, the culture that's coming out of that project is incredible. And then on-chain top three who have a slot, because there are other projects. I don't know. I mean, you have Zeitgeist, you have Subsocial. I'm excited about Mangata coming up. That's Alice and Bob's project. Probably others I'm missing, but yeah, I like teams that are putting out a lot of work, who are changing the landscape with their work, and who are 100% committed and all in. That's what I'm looking for when I'm researching projects.
Definitely fan of most of them.
Which one are you not a fan of?
Actually, all. That was a wrong word.
All right, sorry. I shouldn't put you on the spot there.
All of them.
I'll have you on my show, and then I can ask the questions. Okay?
Yeah, I guess I have to request in advance not to ask tough questions.
Okay.
Jay, this has been a pleasure, and
Totally.
It's been great talking to you, getting insights of the way you think, the way you create content, and a lot of tips for all the creators out there. Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
It totally has, and I want to thank you so much for having me on. The work you've been doing with the threads and now taking the initiative to start this podcast, it's absolutely incredible. It's just what I love to see. And anybody who's interested, make sure you check out Alpha Explorer on Twitter. You will not be disappointed.
Thank you so much, Jay. That's very kind of you. And yeah, see you around.
Yeah, see you around.
Thank you for tuning into Web3 Buzz. Follow me at Web3 Alpha Buzz on Twitter, where I post informational threads on interesting Web3 projects. If you would like to access more information about the guests, please see the episode description.